Hydra came into this season in a big way, and how much of next season will be focused on tracking them down and rebuilding?
I mean, there's natural fallout from that. They took everything we had. The government thinks we're bad. Ward is one of them. But we also have Fitz and Simmons, or who knows. Coulson's writing, who knows. Some guy with the bloody hand was holding a picture saying, "Oh, daughter." So there's lots of other cool stuff as well. But it is fun to have Hydra out in the wind and to be able to lean into that now.
Yeah, and I very much feel they can't trust anyone. So how can they rebuild S.H.I.E.L.D. if they can't trust anybody?
I would say one of the beauties of allowing us to say Hydra was that suddenly nobody could trust each other, which made the stories better. You know, it's weird, like, the worse things are, the better stories you have. And things are pretty terrible, so we can't wait to tell those stories.
We'll put him in awful situations. It'll all work out.
It's just, what's the most terrible thing that could happen? Oh, let's push them in a box into the ocean and see what happens. So yeah, I think there's a lot of great stuff, but Hydra's out there, and Hydra will be absolutely a big part of our show.
And are they going to be the only threat they face, or will we see other villains and big bads pop in?
Yeah. No, there will be others. You know, we're 22 episodes. If we were at 10, you might be able to go, oh, look, it's Hydra. But no, we have, I think, over 22, you need to find ways to mix it up so people don't go. So we worked very hard. I think we've got some other good villainous bad guys to keep people entertained.
Excellent. And you mentioned in the panel, or it was mentioned in the panel, Lance Hunter's coming into the show. How will that tie in with the world we have?
One of the things that happened post-S.H.I.E.L.D. is if there were 40,000 people in S.H.I.E.L.D. before, and half of those were Hydra, and then people got killed, and then people went to the private sector, there's like 11 and a half people left. And so Coulson has to reach out beyond just S.H.I.E.L.D. agents. And the way we're playing Hunter is he's not a S.H.I.E.L.D. guy, he is a mercenary guy. Or as he would say, a private contractor. And so Coulson has to look to places beyond what he's comfortable with as director, the way Fury would work a little bit in the shadows. I think Coulson's going to get a taste of what it's like to have to make those harder decisions. And in doing so, he has to find people that he may not trust completely.
Yeah, you might gain more of a... I mean, he respects Nick Fury, but he might understand why Nick Fury lies sometimes.
That absolutely. One of the things that's really cool for us is we always said, Coulson's the guy. Okay, we left the guy behind. We can't leave that guy behind. We have to go back and get him. And Fury would go, we lose him, but look what we got. And I think putting in Coulson in those situations and having him have to make harder choices will be really fun for Clark to play and really fun for us to write.
So I want to ask, Hydra obviously came into the series in a big way at the end of the season. What more will the next season be all about tracking them down?
Well, we're just happy to be able to even say the word Hydra.
It's such a huge relief to say Hydra, right. and to also have a clear big bad that we're sort of setting out with in season 2.
Right. And we, S.H.I.E.L.D. was destroyed, and Coulson was charged with rebuilding it. So, we have two organizations that are very clearly have the same goal, which is build up and defeat the other. So I think it should cause some good adventures, some good stories.
Maybe not.
So.
Or maybe not. I don't know.
Well, let's keep our fingers crossed. Yeah. And you mentioned that Coulson's team, he is rebuilding. How will we see his team change and maybe grow in the upcoming season?
I think you'll definitely see, well, just with the fact that he's now director, I think, yes, it's fancy, but that also comes with a lot of responsibility. Maybe the dynamics between the characters have shifted, and especially with him, he's a very busy man now, and he may have to make the really tough call, and that may cause some friction amongst his team. So we'll explore that kind of emotional roller coaster, the possibilities of that, and then we'll see what happens.
Okay, and one more. Nick Fury, any chance we'll see more of him next season?
There's always a chance.
There's always a chance. He did say, you won't be seeing me for a while. So, and there are a lot of different properties, and they all do this, and we all have to talk and negotiate certain story points, but there's always a possibility.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see.
All right, I'm going to dive right into something that was mentioned in the panel.
Go ahead.
Daniel Whitehall. Tell me a little about who he is and what he's going to be doing with
Well, I can't go into too many specifics because, as you know, those of us that are at Marvel are sworn to a secret pact of a secret society that's wrapped inside of a riddle that has an enigma and then a Chinese box on top of it. But what I can tell you is that, he will be one of our major antagonists this season. I think the thing that's even more exciting is that it's going to be played by Reed Diamond, who, every single time he inhabits a role, people are completely invested in who he is and what's going on. He carries himself with a tremendous presence, and, I'm worried about our team. They're up against somebody who is pretty smart. I'm not going to say smarter than our gang, but, our gang has its own problems, as we know.
Yeah, I'm worried about them. They're already in a precarious position as they rebuild. How do you think the events of the last half of the first season affected them and kind of where they are?
That's exactly where we're going. I mean, what's fantastic about the show is that, we always had the plan from the beginning. We knew where the show was going from the very first episode. We knew that Captain America: The Winter Soldier was going to fracture our show. It's never been done in the history of television where a major motion picture has come during the season and completely changed the direction of the show. But really not sure that, that the show gets enough credit for what it achieved. Because when you start out, when we were here a year ago, what people were asking us was, is Iron Man going to be on the show? Is Hulk going to be on the show? And now what they're asking us is who is that Sky's father, that guy that had all that blood on his hands, or was it grape jelly? Or why was Coulson writing on the wall? Or any of the other questions. What happened to Fitz? Did he make it through? And if he did, what happened to him? And those questions are about characters that people have come to know and love along the way. And that's the exciting part about it. That's, to me, is mission accomplished. That people are now interested in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which is what we set out to do. And what it also does is it gives us an enormous springboard for Agent Carter, which is that, here is the show that, yes, it takes place in 1946. How are we going to get people to get invested in that in the same kind of way we did in S.H.I.E.L.D., which is that, we're starting out our season. Coulson has been given a directive, which is you need to rebuild S.H.I.E.L.D. What does that mean? Does that mean taking a new Triskelion? Does that mean getting 1,000 Quinjets? Does that mean going out and trying to, recruit 45,000 people? I don't think so. But my instinct is that it's probably going to be a smaller, maybe sometimes less savory kinds of folks. We've talked a little bit about, we've got a new character named Lance Hunter, who's from the Marvel Universe. A British lad by the name of Nick Blood is playing the part. Yes, that's his name. But, he doesn't come from S.H.I.E.L.D. He's a mercenary. So we can clearly see that Director Coulson is going to be making some hard choices this season. So while he's trying to build this thing, we get to go back to the very beginning and we get to see what happened with Peggy Carter and what led to her coming to the conclusion that the world does need a S.H.I.E.L.D., that the world needs an organization who can look after objects, aliens, strange, weird things that are running around in the Marvel Universe and make sure that those of us who are not part of that world are protected from it. And that only happens, again, when you care about our characters. And that's really the place that we're starting.
Yeah, and one character that really made an impression last season was Deathlok, the way you handled him. Will we see more of him in the upcoming...
We absolutely, and for those of you that are playing the home game, no, that's not his final look. As he evolved, we will continue to evolve that character, both as a character and his look. Look, Jay August did an extraordinary job bringing a humanity to that character in a way that people had completely unexpected. But one of the things that we're really looking forward to is becoming the show where people say, I didn't see that coming. And Deathlok is one of those reasons. At the very beginning in the pilot, Mike is standing in the window and he says, this is an origin story, and he jumps out the window. And people had a lot of guesses as to what that was, but they didn't guess that it's Deathlok. They did not see that coming. And then when they found out it was Deathlok, they were like, super cool. Let's see where that goes. So he's out there running around. He's, part of the Marvel Universe.